Welcome. So we are going to be talking about who in Class 1A, My Hero Academia, has the most underrated quirk. And we're going to have a debate between me and Scott. Chuku, Crystal, and Christine will be moderating. They will be determining who wins this debate. The ground rules are that we cannot choose from the big players in Class 1A, Todoroki, Bakugo, Midoriya, and Tokoyami with Shadow. We can't choose those ones. So out of the rest of Class 1A, who is the most underrated? Who has the most underrated quirk?
And just to give it a mention, we actually both had Yayorozu in one of our choices. We chose two, just in case one of them might have matched. And we had her as one of our choices, so we decided not to go with her. She has a great quirk after all. It's just I feel like it's underused, but we can talk about that after the whole debate if we want.
Right. Okay, so we each have 1 minute at the start to present our own character, our own quirk, and then after that we will have our interactions, and then we'll have questions.
Yeah, let's actually give our choices right now. My choice is Uravity.
And then my choice is Kaminari with his electrification.
Yeah, zero gravity is the quirk. So we're mainly going to argue for the quirk, not really the character itself. But yeah.
Right.
You can go ahead and go first.
So, okay, I'll go first.
All right, minute starts now.
Sounds good. So, Kaminari has electrification, and right now his issue is that he has very little control over it. But the quirk itself is extremely powerful. Every electricity user that we see in typical media is usually extremely powerful. And one of the things that's special about his quirk is that he can absorb electricity and he can discharge it. So that gives him a lot of power over other opponents who might be using tools or gadgets, and then at the same time just the sheer force that he would be able to generate as an electricity user is powerful. Like, electricity kills people. Electricity is generally a very strong force. You don't really want to get hit by it. Right now Kaminari is okay. So
that's a minute.
Okay. Let me know when
right. Your minute starts now.
Okay. So, zero gravity.
He wrote it down.
So this quirk is unbelievably strong, and she is not using it right at all. I'm going to tell you straight up. All right, so first of all, her quirk actually breaks the laws of physics. I took physics in college, so I know what zero gravity actually means, and it doesn't do that. So when she touches someone with her fingers, and that's all she has to do, they actually start floating up, and they have weightlessness. That's actually not what happens in physics if someone has zero gravity. What should happen is they should stay in place, and basically gravity should not be affecting them, so there's no acceleration downwards. And at that point, you still can move the mass of the object and whatnot, but depending on the mass, it's still hard to move because of the conservation of momentum. So for her power, what actually happens is they start floating up despite their weight, despite their mass. Sorry,
Scott.
Okay, no worries. I'll explain further in our exchange. So our exchange can start in right now, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, question: If you take into account the spin of the Earth, doesn't that kind of make your theory on her ability?
No,
doesn't that negate it?
Into account the spin of the Earth.
What I'm trying to say is
because the reason that we don't float away from the Earth is because it's of the gravity that's holding us to Earth.
Yeah, that's part of it. But what I'm trying to say is her power defies the laws of physics, meaning despite the mass of an object she touches, they're still gonna float up, and they're still gonna. She grabbed a pillar and actually used it to smack a whole bunch of rocks, which doesn't make any sense because that pillar's mass is huge. So she actually nullifies mass, which is an incredibly strong power. All she needs to do to anybody to neutralize them is touch them, and they're done unless they have something like Bakugo where they can propel themselves in the air, or naturally
or
fly.
something like electrocution, where you can you literally are able to supercharge your entire body.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, she has to be able to touch her opponent in order to be effective, and that itself
Not
is
necessarily.
a huge limitation.
She can touch like up to her weight limit, right? And then use that object to attack the other person while it's weightless, and then release it, and then all the mass or weight comes back according to their universe, right? And then all of it hits that person. That is unbelievably strong.
Wait, if it's up to her weight limit, then shouldn't she be like
No, her
super
weight
fat?
limit is 3 tons.
can-
3 tons is her weight limit.
If we look at
That's
electricity,
a crazy weight limit.
if we look at electricity, certain electrical users, when they're skilled enough, can control objects with their electricity. Need I remind you of static shock?
Yeah, but oh crap. We're talking about like the quirk itself, right? And
The quirk is electricity.
yeah, for his quirk, I haven't really seen him do that.
He just doesn't use it well. He
Well,
just
not
doesn't
not
use
the
it well.
character, you know. It's the
Yeah,
quirk.
Kaminari, and that's his whole arc. Up to at least where I've seen is like he is not able to control his quirk very well,
Right.
and he kind of is using other tools to help him control it. But if you are able to control it,
But you gotta talk about the downside of the quirk itself, right? Because for Uravity, her downside is that after she reaches a certain point of doing it too much, she gets like nauseous and stuff. For Kaminari, he gets stupid after using it too much, and that is a huge downside. That's part of the quirk. You can't deny
okay,
that it's part of the
I
quirk.
will say that's actually an upside because listen to me. If that happens, that means that the opposite can be true. The more electricity that he has under his control, the smarter he might get.
But that's a
Wait.
speculation. That's speculation.
I'm confused. Whoa. I
That's
thought you said the
speculation.
more he uses it, that he
Here,
becomes
order,
dumb.
speculation.
Well, so his ability works forward and reverse. He can like charge himself up, and then he can discharge the electricity that he's built up. So I'm saying that if he gets kind of like dumb when he discharges electricity, once he absorbs electricity, that must have the opposite effect, unless he's just
I mean, that's
perpetually getting
never been
stupider
shown in the
and
show.
stupider.
So
No, it's logical. Like you can't unless he just is
Sure,
perpetually
okay.
getting stupider
I'll
and
give
stupider.
I'll give a few other explanations to why Uravity's quirk is underrated. One, she completely mishandles it. Okay, why the hell is she using gunhead martial arts on enemies when at that point she's already touched them and she can nullify them by making them float up? Like for instance, she would have 100% captured the girl that can transform.
Toga.
Yeah, Toga, there you go. By just touching her, and then she would have floated. Instead, she used gunhead martial arts, which made no sense. And then there were other occasions where she did the same thing to other opponents. At that point, she touched them, right? Touching someone is not that hard. Like pretty much all the people with quirks with fighting abilities have been able to touch their opponent. Like we've seen the upper limit of what a regular human can do, or like physical abilities, and it's pretty crazy. So with that quirk, with someone who's really fit and fast, the potential is just unbelievable. All you need to do is touch an opponent and they're done, unless they can like manipulate themselves in the air, because it's zero gravity. It's like almost like you're in space and you're floating
But
up.
you have to touch them. Like in a world with superheroes, like there's
Yeah, but she's
abilities.
done it plenty of times, and other people with no quirks, or like quirks that don't enhance their physical abilities, like easily hit other people. So if someone didn't know her quirk, and she just looks like she's regularly fighting,
Yeah.
she wins automatically after touching someone.
Can she touch and save the zero gravity for later?
What do you mean?
Like, can she activate it later after she's touched them, or it has to be an immediate
I think
activation?
it's
it has
immediate,
To be
it's
an
immediate.
Yeah, it has to be an immediate activation. I mean, we are having this debate under the idealistic perspective, that they've all kind of actualized their quirks to the level of Lemillion with his quirk, where they are able to, do all those things. So, I mean, unless you think that somebody with Uraraka's power can beat Sasuke with
Whoa, what are you trying to say?
I mean, he uses a lot of electricity.
Whoa.
I'm just saying that electrical users tend to be very powerful.
Hold on. That's not a good. That's not a good
OC.
image. That's not a fair image to put. First of all, Sasuke is unbelievably strong in other areas. Okay.
Well, cancel out the other areas.
Okay, question for you, OC. Can Kaminari, does he have to be touching the ground to use his electric ability? Or can he be, like, for example, if zero gravity was used on him, can he use it in the air?
Well, that's the thing. Like, he can definitely use it. He doesn't have to be on the ground. He can use it in the air. And realistically, if anybody comes within a certain range of him, even with his lack of skill at this point, he just needs to do a general discharge of electricity and they're immobilized. It doesn't really matter what direction they're in.
Right.
For when Kaminari uses his quirk though, and he immobilizes people, I mean, most of the time he does get stupid, and it's like, it's not something you can gloss over. He's pretty much down for the count when he does that. He's useless.
No, okay,
how can he negate that without speculation? How can
No, it's not. I don't think it's speculation to say that he would have to get
something
smarter.
he does.
I don't think it is. If the opposite is, if the one direction is true, the opposite kind of has to be true.
That's kind of a
No,
stretch
that's a falsehood. You're gonna use examples from the show.
Well, the question is, why hasn't he used that? If that's the case,
Exactly.
Okay,
The fact
sure.
is that
I guess
he's not
that's
very good with using his quirk. He's
No,
just
but
not
why
very
doesn't he
good
just
with
carry
even then,
around
it
like
would
battery
make
packs or
more-
something?
we can't assume that.
Yeah, you can't assume that. Okay.
But feel free to, I don't know. Come up
Yeah,
with a
Chuku, do
way
you have
to
any questions?
negate that.
I mean, no, right now I haven't. I mean, that was the
Okay.
only. I guess
I just want to bring up like a few more points. Since we're talking about the underratedness of a quirk, like it doesn't necessarily have to be for fighting, and so zero gravity can also basically make her fly, if used correctly. It can make transport extremely easy because of that, and also make other things like float around, so like they can move things around like heavy objects. Very useful in a lot of cases. She said it herself, like for her construction thing, like that her family does, it can make it like really easy to do. So there's a lot of utility for the quirk other than just fighting. Of course, that's true for your quirk as well, but for this one, it's unbelievable, like easy activation. All she has to do is touch it with some of her fingers, not even like all of them. So
Yeah, I mean, Kaminari is able to essentially power anything up, or remove power from things that need to have power removed from them. So that's
I think the last thing that I want to say that is really powerful in this quirk, if it is battle, is even if like in most cases, in real world cases, especially in the world of My Hero, they usually fight in groups, right? All she needs is someone with, say, like Bakugo's power or Deku, someone who has the like power, basically. She goes and turns someone into zero gravity. Then if Bakugo were to explode them or like make them traverse any direction, like for instance upwards, they're gonna keep going that way no matter what because of weightlessness and zero gravity. And
okay, I have to. Okay, go ahead. Finish your point.
yeah, and that's incredibly. She combos with any power quirk very, very well.
Okay, so basically, my point that I was going to say before you guys decided to remove the possibility that he becomes smart with more electricity, which I don't think is that far fetched to consider.
But it's never shown in the show. That's the issue.
No,
Read the room. It's
At least for
I'm gonna still,
All right,
I'm
continue,
going to
continue,
still
OC.
present this argument. Okay, so assuming he can gather enough energy to become tactically intelligent, he would be able to devise a plan that he just needs to be able to follow the basic stuff in order to defeat whatever opponent he's
You're not
facing.
even saying that he becomes like a genius. You're just saying he becomes like level
In other words,
7.
so all of a
like a
sudden
big
his
brain that's,
intelligence
like,
is
full of
basically an A
electricity.
pool. Basically,
No,
It's
I
just
mean,
natural.
like, I'm
Generally
trying to
intelligent.
That's not
I'm trying to be
inherent in the quirk,
realistic.
though. That's not inherent in the quirk.
I'm trying to be realistic because if
You're
assuming
being
that
the opposite.
No.
All right, guys. Closing statements. We're
Okay.
gonna close it off.
Okay, first off, based on this debate, everything I've said is based on things on the show, and like
not really.
Yeah.
You used your own physics
No,
understanding to put in your own assumptions
No, no,
into
no,
her
no.
ability
I didn't
as far
put
as
any
controlling
assumptions.
mass. As far as controlling the mass of the
No.
of the person, we don't necessarily know that the physics of the My Hero Academia world are the same as the physics
No,
of our world.
that's
so.
exactly my point. Actually, that I said that she defies the laws of physics. I explained what the laws of physics are supposed to do, and the fact that
But what if she doesn't defy the laws of physics in her world?
no, she does. Like every example.
We don't know that.
No, we
That's
do.
That's a
I
presupposition.
no, that's
a
not. I explained it. I explained it.
I mean,
They're not supposed to immediately float up. It's not like anti-gravity.
you don't know
No,
that.
I do.
Maybe it is.
That is what physics says.
That's what physics says in our world, not in their world.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it doesn't. It's not the same. It's not the same. So she's defying the laws of physics of our world,
mean,
which makes her
you're
application
assuming-
in their world amazing.
You're assuming an understanding of the way that it should work in her world, which
No.
is a presupposition on its face.
I'm
Okay,
saying-
okay.
Okay, let me close off my thoughts, and you can go ahead and
Okay.
answer and close off your thoughts.
Okay.
Basically, what I've been saying is that the understanding of physics in our world is completely different in theirs according to her power. So her power defies our laws of physics. And if, like, say, mass and stuff like that still retains, which it should, because, like, I've given examples for everything that I've backed up, I've said. So in the beginning, the robots, when she touched them, they all floated up. She released them. They all crashed down. They still have weight. They still have mass after she releases them. It's an incredible power. During the practice fight with their partner, like trying to like grab the nuke thing, she grabbed a pillar of enormous mass and swung it when there was zero gravity on it. And then she released, and all the rocks just like went towards her opponent. So she can do that where something of huge mass, she can move it around and then release, and then it can hit someone else. It's been proven. And also the whole like infinite going up, she's done that with the ball. So if she has someone with enough power to make it go up, then that also is a proven thing in the show. So all of these things are things that she's done. It's just she misuses her quirk, and that's why I think it's underrated. It's just like there's so much potential for her quirk, but she just doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my closing thoughts.
In the same way, I think that Kaminari's quirk, electrification, is what it's technically called. It's powerful beyond measure. Honestly, the ability to control electricity is a staple in anime, comics, in every like medium of superpowered individuals, and the only issue is that he's not able to use it properly. And the thing about him getting stupider the more he uses it, that I don't know if that's as much of an issue as it seems to be, because either there's a threshold that if he gets underneath that threshold he becomes stupider, or it's a general linear progression that works in the other direction. So I believe that either way, if he gets more control over his ability, he doesn't just discharge like too much at once, and he's able to be more strategic with his power, that becomes a non-issue. at a certain skill level, that becomes a non-issue, no matter how it works. So I think that if we're assuming that these quirks are utilized to their full potential, then there's no way that he doesn't beat somebody who needs to have hand-to-hand combat in order to work.
Cool. All right, so I'm just gonna recap the downfall really quick. Scott's Uravity's downfall is she gets nauseous, and OC's is the character gets dumb.
Yeah.
So just to point that out there.
Yeah, inherent in the quirk. But just saying, the main argument or the main point of the debate was to debate like who has the most underrated quirk in class 1A. So it's not necessarily a fight. So not everything has to be fight related exactly. So just try to remember that as the premise of the debate.
That's true.
All right,
but yeah,
judges.
It's voting time. Go ahead. It's up to you guys now.
I would say we should vote and also say why we voted.
I'll just, to piggyback off of what Scott said, the argument was about who had the more underrated quirk. And I mean, going into this, I kind of had an idea of like which quirk I thought was like better. But I really wanted to judge it based on the argument you guys were making. And I think that Scott like kind of more pushed for like showcasing why Uravity's was more underrated, and that's the main reason why I chose Uravity. Also, I kind of like wrote down the pros and cons of each character, and I think one thing that really stood out to me for Uravity is that her quirk is very much a quirk that she can use in combination with any of the characters, and for me, I think that's a huge plus. I think just variable density control, gravity negation in general is also pretty powerful, even though electricity is also very powerful. But I just think that it can be applied to more situations, and Scott really highlighted that. So that's why I chose Uravity.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely choose gravity as well. I definitely think that, especially because the argument again was underrated. If it was like which one's more powerful, I would have definitely choose electricity, or at least you see electricity being used more. But again, gravity, like you said, is more versatile the way you said it. And you did bring up, and I did feel like with your arguments, you did bring up a lot of details and a lot of facts that definitely made a lot of credibility for me. So yeah, I definitely choose yours.
All right. So there's one thing I wanted to point out, OC, that you didn't point out either, was that electricity can technically start fires also. So I feel like that would have been a plus. But because you didn't bring it up, I'm not going to factor that into this debate. And I would have to say this is a TKO and Uravity wins.
If you had just mentioned fire once,
Right.
you got like 1 vote.
Okay, fire. If you said
don't know if
fire,
that
I
would've
would have changed my answer.
I'm just saying, like, that would have factored in,
Damn.
like, that would have been,
Yeah, I would have changed my
Yeah.
answer too, OC. Just kidding.
You could apply that to a lot of situations. Survival, you know, if you were stuck in the
Okay.
wilderness, you had electricity, started a fire,
Yeah.
you would have
Damn,
said,
Okay.
Christine. I changed my vote.
that was fun.
That's right. I mean, yo, I prepped for this last night, so yeah. But just to
Sorry,
not waste,
OC.
not to waste.
I mean, okay.
Go ahead.
I think it's good for us to bring up the fact that both of us, these are our second choices for both
Yeah,
of
that's
us.
true.
Like we initially chose Yayo Rose as our number one pick for both of us, and I think that you know, that quirk in itself.
It's an incredibly versatile
Yeah.
quirk. Just to bring up
Yeah,
a few
and-
things, because both of our number ones was Momo, and okay, in the show she actually created flashbangs and a cannon with her
Right.
quirk, right? I don't understand how she lost so easily to Dark Shadow. One of the things she can actually do is create a freaking submachine gun, and like it's over for power, man.
And just
Her
spray
quirk is
it
not
up.
underpowered at all. But like, if she doesn't want to be
Yeah.
lethal, just use rubber bullets, and her opponent will still
Right.
be neutralized in so many ways. Her
This is the
quirk
thing
is
with her-
completely misused, in my opinion.
It's underrated.
It is.
I
It
agree.
is. This is the thing with her. She could have Kaminari's power because she just needs to know the the chemical component of whatever she wants to create, as long as it's not living. Electricity is literally the easiest thing chemically that you can make. So like realistically,
Like a taser.
there's so many. A taser, anything really. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't even have
She
to be
just
that
has to
complicated.
stuff herself like right before the battle. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
She needs to
Exactly.
eat more.
But
But yeah.
anyway, that was fun. Definitely put who you would have voted if you would have said Kaminari's power. Put that in the
Oh,
comments.
Actually, just to mention it,
Let us know.
I had two other, I guess, honorable mentions. So the other one was Mina Ashido. So her quirk was the acid thing. And then, unfortunately, Mineta actually has a pretty darn underrated quirk.
No.
You just discredited yourself.
I hate the character. But his quirk
not even
actually
his
has
character,
some good uses, like very, very versatile and good uses. Like making,
Yeah, if he can use it before he bleeds out.
dude, he threw like in the 10s, like near 50s before he
I know.
completely...
He almost killed himself.
My only backup was Tenya Ida, but we didn't get to that.
My boy
so,
Ida.
Yeah.
I would have.
yeah.
I would
I
have
can't
really.
remember-
I would have considered Ida.
All right, but definitely, if you have any thoughts, put that in the comments,
Yeah.
and we'll see you all later. Peace.